Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to do the initial setup for our enemy AI. So let's get started. Okay, so we had this guy here just for testing purposes. We can go ahead and delete this. We don't need him. And we can also delete the test dummy character. We no longer need that. And so let's start by duplicating the BP underscore combat character. We'll call this one BP underscore master AI. So this is the master AI. Go ahead and save all. Let's move this to its own folder. So in Combat System Blueprints, let's create a new folder. We'll call it AI. Okay, now let's move the master AI into the AI folder. Okay, now open it up. There are many things from this that we are not going to need. For example, we are not going to need the input actions. And something else that we should do is, let's go ahead and create a child from this. And we'll call it BP underscore humanoid enemy. Okay, and then let's go ahead and remove this mesh. We'll clear it and clear the animation blueprint as well. There we go. Now let's go to our humanoid enemy. And let's set our mesh as a UE5 mannequin. So we need skm underscore many underscore sample. And animation blueprint will be ABP many. This is going to be for the humanoid enemy. Okay, now let's create all the assets that we are going to need. So in blueprints, AI, let's create an AI controller. So right click, select blueprint class, and let's search for controller. So we need an AI controller. We'll call this one BP underscore AI controller. Let's create our behavior tree asset. So under artificial intelligence, select behavior tree. We'll call it BP underscore example enemy. Okay, now let's create our blackboard. Under artificial intelligence, select blackboard. Add BB, which stands for blackboard underscore base. Okay, save all. Right now that we've done all of that, let's go to the master AI and let's modify some things in the master AI. Okay, so some of this we won't need. We shouldn't need the attack input code, so we can go ahead and delete that. We can just leave the attack event. We may or may not use it. We can also get rid of the stat cost because AI will not need stat cost. Okay, and we do not need the dodge input. And we do not need stat cost for dodge. We do not need toggle combat input. We do not need the interact input. The AI will not be interacting at all, so we can just delete that. And we will not need to track charge input for an AI. We do not need charge attack timer event. And we do not need the modify stat. Okay, we will not need the targeting for an AI. Okay, we shouldn't need any of these things about movement speed. And we shouldn't need this either. Now go ahead and compile and save. Looks like we have sprint stamina cost. We won't need that one either. Go ahead and delete that. And we will not need the targeting component. We can delete that. Delete that from here. Okay, we won't need B as heavy attack. Let's see where this is used. Okay, and get desired attack type. We'll just remove it from here. I don't think we'll be using this function, but just in case, I will leave it. So I'm going to delete B as heavy attack. Attack held time, it's not needed. Let's see, where is it used? And reset charge attack. Don't need reset charge attack anyway. So we do not need attack held time, charge attack time, or be attack charged. And now let's make some more changes. So let's go to the perform attack. And so here we are getting the action montages from the weapon, but we are not going to use a weapon for an AI, so things are going to have to be done a little bit differently. Let's go into our, so we can do something similar to this, but the AI is going to have a whole different amount of attacks. So what we can do is just copy all of this. And let's go to our master AI and get action montage. And let's paste this here. And we'll plug this in as an input. This will be the action tag. Okay. And now let's create variable line attack montages, except we'll change this one to close range attack montages. And that's the only attacks we will have for now. We will add more later. And we can also add it as a gameplay tag. So let's remove all of the other attacks. Okay. And instead of falling attack for this one, let's create a new one. Character action attack. And this will be close range. Okay. Okay, I'm going to remove these two. And then for dodge montages, we can just right click on it and select create variable. Same for enter combat and exit combat. Okay. And compile and save. And let's make this pure. Okay, now let's put all these animations in their own category. So we already have a montages category. Let's just go ahead and put them in there. Dodge montages, close range, enter combat, and exit combat. And we can actually categorize these a little bit more. So select this one, we do montages, and we can add this and then do hit reactions. Okay, and that will add us like a subcategory. So let's add all these into the subcategory hit reactions. Then this one could be montages, attacks. And this one could be montages, actions. Okay, there we go. So compile and save. And now let's go to the perform attack function. And here, instead of using the weapon, let's just call get action montage. So we no longer need toggle combat or the weapon. Okay, let's get the attack type variable and plug that into action tag. There we go. And now let's do the same thing in perform action. So we do not need the weapon. Okay, compile and save. So perform action is fixed, perform attack, and let's also do perform dodge. And for perform dodge, we actually shouldn't need that function. Dodge is just another action, so let's go ahead and delete that. So we can perform dodge. What we could do here, yeah, let's just delete that. I don't think we'll need this. Okay, let's go to our AI controller. And add event on possess. So this is when a controller possesses a pawn. So in our case, this would be whenever the AI controller possesses the AI character blueprint. And just in case we need a reference to our controlled AI character, let's just cast to master AI. We can promote this to a variable. We'll just call it master AI. There's our master AI, just in case we need a reference to that. Okay, now after that, we need to run behavior tree. Okay, and now we need to run a specific behavior tree asset, but we actually want to run a different behavior tree for each instance of master AI. And the reason why we want to do that is because we may want to create, for example, a monster boss or a humanoid boss. And these two different bosses will have different behavior trees. So let's go to the master AI. Let's create a new variable. And this variable will be of type behavior tree. We'll just call this variable behavior tree. We'll put this behavior tree in the initialization category. And we'll move this to the top. I'm also seeing some other things that we forgot to delete. So we do not need turn rate gamepad, and we do not need anything about a follow camera inside of an AI. So let's just delete both of those. Okay, everything else looks good. And we should probably make this behavior tree variable instance editable. So that way, whenever we place an AI into the world, we can simply just select a new behavior tree. We have some errors here. Okay, so these errors are references to the camera. Boom, it looks like. You can just remove them. That's done. Go back to the AI controller. Let's get our master AI. Let's get the behavior tree. Okay, and now let's plug this in as the behavior tree asset. And there we go. Okay, and in the master AI, let's just go to class defaults. And by default, let's just have the BP underscore example enemy behavior tree selected. Okay, now let's implement the ability to target the master AI. So the first thing that we need to do is go to class defaults and let's add the targeting interface. Okay, now that you've added that, we need to open up can be targeted and get the state manager component. And get current state and check is it not equal to dead. Okay, compile and save. Okay, now let's add a targeting dot widget and drag this over to the mesh so that way we attach it to the mesh. For the widget class, we want WB underscore lock on, and the space will be screen, and draw size will be 14 by 14. Okay, and the visibility will be not visible by default, so make that false. Okay, and then somewhere here in the event graph, let's add event on targeted and get our widget and set visibility, and new visibility will be is targeted. And we can rename this widget to targeting widget. Okay, compile and save. Let's go here to the map. And let's drag our humanoid enemy into the world. Let's rotate the character around. Okay, let's see if we can target the character. Okay, and we can target the character. But let's move the targeting dot up a little bit. So let's go to the humanoid enemy. Let's go to viewport and select the targeting widget. And we can just move that up. Let's try that again. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay, and now the next thing that we can do is add a health bar widget to the enemy. So let's go to humanoid enemy here, because you may want different types of HUD for different types of enemies. So we're not going to add it to the master AI. Let's just add it here to the humanoid enemy. Let's add a widget. Okay, and we do not want this to be attached to the targeting widget, so just go ahead and make sure it's attached to the mesh. We'll call this health bar. Okay, let's go to the viewport. And the widget class will be, actually, we probably should create a custom widget class for this. So let's go to combat system, UI. Let's go ahead and duplicate the stat bar widget by pressing Control D. We'll call this one WB underscore health bar. Okay, open that up. We need this to be desired. Instead of stat bar, this will be health stat bar. And we'll make this a reddish color. Okay. And the stat type will be health. Compile and save. So you may notice that whenever you change the color, you hit OK and you compile, the color gets set back to normal, and that is because we actually need to set the color here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to select our health bar, and first let's make this not visible by default. Okay, and some other things that we need to do is we need to set the space to screen and draw size. We do not want that to be 500 by 500, but let's just leave that alone for now. And let's get the health bar widget and let's set widget. And the widget that we are going to set is, let's create widget. And the widget that we are going to create is health bar. Okay, and the owning player is going to be get player controller. However, we are going to have an issue here where it uses the wrong stats component because it's going to use the stats component from the owning player pawn. So what we can do in that case would be, let's just create a custom event. Let's call it initialize. Let's add an input, and this will be stats component. And we'll call this input stats component. Okay, now we replace event construct with this. And so what we could do is we could create a boolean. And this boolean will be b use player stats component. Okay, we'll check if this is true, then we get this is true, then we set the stats component as the stats component from the owning player. And by default, this will be true. And now something that we can do is we can make this instance editable and expose this on spawn, which means that this variable will be exposed whenever we create the widget. Let's go back to the humanoid enemy and let's refresh this. And now you can see that boolean shows up. Okay, we need that to be false. And something else that we're going to need to expose on spawn is the stats component. So let's make this instance editable and expose on spawn. Okay, and let's refresh again. And now we can get the stats component and plug that in here. And we can pass our own stats component in here. So we'll plug that in on begin play. And we can set the visibility to be visible temporarily. So set visibility to true. We will remove this later. This is just for testing purposes. Okay, that's definitely not the result that we want. That is probably due to the draw size. We can go to the main HUD. Looks like this one is 280 by 17. So we can go to the humanoid enemy and make it similar size. 280 by 17. And let's see how that looks. Okay, that's a lot better. But now the enemy's health isn't updating. It seems like we forgot to call initialize. So here, let's just call initialize and we will get the stats component and run that. So either way, we need to run initialize. So whether this is set or not. Okay, let's test that out and it's still not working. I think I might know what the issue is. Let's try to damage the enemy to make his health update. Okay, yep, there we go. But it is working. Okay, so what we could do is, let's go into our stat bar. Let's go into our health stat bar. Let's call this onStatValueUpdated function. So that way we force it to update. We get stat bar type. And the value, let's get the stats component and get current stat value. Plug that into value. Let's plug stat bar type in here. Okay, and that will basically force it to update whenever it's created. Okay, yep, and that resolved the issue. And now let's make some improvements to the health bar here. Let's go to fill color and opacity. Let's go to style actually, and let's go to background image and tint. We can make that black, and the opacity can be 0.7. Hit OK, file and save, and let's see how that looks. So whenever we attack the character, we should slightly be able to see through it. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And if you want to, you can do the same thing to the base stat bar. You can actually just call on stat value updated, so we can force update here as well whenever the widget is created. Current stat value. And we can also go to style and background image. Make that black. The opacity as 0.7. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks a lot better. Now let's go back to the humanoid enemy. And for health bar, let's move that up above his head. Okay, and that looks a lot better. And even you can reduce the size of this stat bar if you want to. So instead of 280, we could make that one something like 200. And 200 by, I'm going to make this 10. See what that looks like. Okay, instead of 200, I'm going to make this 150. Okay, I think I like that. Okay, now let's update whenever the visibility of the health bar is set. We do not want that to be here, actually. We want it to be on event on targeted. And since we're overriding this, we want to add a call to parent function. This will call the parent version of this function from the master AI, so it will call this. We'll call this, and then we can call our custom functionality in here. We want this to be visible whenever the character is targeting the enemy. And I think that will be good. Okay, when I target the enemy, his health bar shows up. When I untarget the enemy, the health bar goes away. So I think that's pretty good. However, you may notice an issue where whenever I kill the enemy, it doesn't play a hit sound. So let's go ahead and figure out what's going on there. Let's go to master AI. So it seems like the issue is can receive hit reaction. So let's get apply impact effect and cut that. And we can paste that before this runs. And that should fix that issue. Yep, that issue is fixed. Okay, and something else that we can do is, let's remove this equipment. Because the AI will not need equipment, go ahead and delete the equipped items, which actually we're probably going to have a reference to it here. We do not need this main weapon because the AI will not have a main weapon. Okay, let's go ahead and delete the equipped items. Okay, that brings us to the end of this video. In this video, we have set up our master AI character class, we have created our AI controller, behavior tree asset, and Blackboard that we will use for our enemy AI. So we are all set up and ready to implement functionality into our AI system. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we are going to implement an AI patrol system.